Hi, I'm Tara from Crooked Row, and today we're going to pot up my tomato plants, my tomato starts that I started, and I started that in another video which we will put down below. And today I'm going to go over, we started them in these are actually little jiffy, they're not peat pots, but they look like little discs that you soak in water, and then they expand to these and you put seeds in them. And the reason why I love them is because you've got your soilless starter mix right here. But then it allows the roots to come through and kind of, I mean, if you can see all the little things hanging down, that's the root system coming out. It feels more, I don't know, breathable to me. So I peel this away and now you see that I have 2 plants left. This one is the weaker one, but I like to save all my tomato plants because we have a lot of area where we can actually plant things, and so I like to try to save them if I can. Of course, I'm saving always the strongest. And as I've kind of discussed in past videos, I'm using to plant them up. So they went from this size, they're gonna at least double in these cups, at least. And the reason why I do that, you don't have to do that. You can, as they start to grow, they will get spindly, but you can actually leave them in their containers. Just make sure that they don't get what's called root bound, and that's where essentially, you know, the roots like start wrapping around themselves. And so you'll want to start them closer to your frost-free date if you're going to do that, where you only have 1 container, and that's perfectly fine. The reason why I do this is we have a lot of tomatoes that we use. We're in a zone 6, and so sometimes in zone 6 we can get a hot drought. And then other times in a zone 6, we can kind of have a cooler summer and we only have like a hot July. And so because of that, I like to develop a really good root system and keep them in containers for a little while longer, like more close to July. I will pop mine up again into like 1 gallon or 2 or 3 gallon containers. Again, so my root system can develop even deeper. But the biggest reason why I do that is so I can put those pots out in the sun. And so that if we don't end up having like a hot May and June, then the ground will take longer to warm. So because of that, I put them in those pots, those large pots. The plant can completely withstand it. Tomatoes love to be transplanted. And it will actually progress a lot faster because the soil around the actual plant is so warm. And this is from South America, so tomatoes love a warm, humid climate. So you always want to water tomatoes. So today what I've done is I've filled these styrofoam cups with, these are filled with topsoil, but I actually ran out of topsoil and I have not been able to locate organic potting soil. And I usually use a Spoma potting soil, and that's not the only one I would use, but I haven't been able to find any organic potting soil. The reason why I use a Spoma is they have like beneficial bacterias and things within their potting soils and their like biotone and things like that. And they have technical names called mycorrhizae, but the point being is that they have beneficial bacteria that actually help with root development, and they are beneficial to the plants and the soil. So they are 1 lump, and I gently pull them apart to create 2. Now, because this is not as strong as this one is, I'm gonna actually lay this one to the side, and I'm gonna work with all my strong plants first. That way, if I run out of material, I have only strong plants. The weaker plants, I'll probably baby a little bit more, and I'll do the exact same thing that I'm going to do today, but I'll kind of tend to them a little bit more to make sure that we have all strong plants. And so, but this one has already shown promise, and I accidentally like dropped all of its planting material in the cup I'm going to plant it in. And another thing with tomato plants is these are the first leaves right here. And you can tell because they don't look anything like these leaves. And so these are called cotyledon, and they feed the plant while they're growing before they start photosynthesis. So once they have their true leaves, they not only don't need these, so I take them off, but they have started photosynthesis, and they're starting to produce their own leaves. So if you look closely, there are tiny little hairs along the stem, and those hairs are a root system. And so for that reason, unlike almost all other vegetables, a tomato stem can be planted all the way up, and then these are now going to develop a root system in that soil, which again is why I actually repot these things. So I'm going to get started on, today I am doing, these are Brandywine tomatoes, and actually let me show you quickly. Brandywine tomatoes they have a leaf that looks like a potato leaf, and these tomatoes are called potato leaf variety. Whereas, let me grab another one. So these are typically what people see as tomato leaves. And this is the Amish paste. This is a paste variety, but it's Amish paste that I usually get. They're wonderful tomatoes. And while these are grown the same, I repot them the same, they act the same, they both grow tomatoes, they are actually two different varieties, and you can tell that because of their leaves. And so whereas this has, several leaflets, this has the singular kind of teardrop leaf. And the reason why that's important is for when you are saving your seeds. So I'm going to grow these near each other, but these two do not cross-pollinate, which means you can grow them together and still save your seed. They say that tomatoes are kind of hard to cross-pollinate anyway, just because of how the flower comes out. But I don't want to take any chances, especially because things are so hard to get right now, and I like to save my seeds. So, and I encourage everyone to save their seeds. It's kind of like a neat thing that you can do, and then you can get in touch with other local gardeners and you can share seeds, and that's when new varieties pop out and all sorts of neat things. But these two will not cross, so I'm pretty safe there. Always look and see what type of tomato you have before you start planting, if you're going to plant several varieties. If you just have one, then you don't have to worry about it. So it looks like I'm ready to get started. Repotted 55 tomato plants. I'm so excited. And I actually have more, but that's a whole other story. So what I want to do now, even though I have some biotone in each container, I'm also going to put in the organic tomato. This is liquid, and I'm going to put it in with water. And so these are like baby plants. these are little babies. So it says use 2 to 3 doses per gallon of water. And this is 2 gallons. And I will use, I will probably use a gallon. So we'll do 2 to 3 doses. And there is like a little chamber in here. And so you turn it upside down and you pour in the dose. And then you do that again. And you pour in the dose. And this is the Spoma mix for tomatoes. So I love it. It works super well. And I like that it's liquid. And then we also have some of the Biotome fertilizer in there too, a Spoma again. I'm gonna go fill this with water and then spray my plants. Well, that's it. I have 55 plants. They are repotted and now they have lots of fertilizer in them. In the coming weeks, I will repot these again. That's for my zone because it hasn't gotten hot enough here in the past couple of years. I want my tomatoes early, so we're gonna repot them in a couple weeks and I'll show you that too. But for now, these are gonna go get cozy under their lights and their heat mat. So that's it for Zone 6. And remember, if we can garden, anybody can. Bye.